Well, good morning and welcome back. It is now Monday the 2nd, and it is an absolutely gorgeous morning out here, except for the lack of rain over the weekend. But we do have some barley. It's finally just starting to emerge here. So we got our first leaves kind of coming out of the seed row here. A couple of these guys here. These ones actually look like they've been chewed off, so I suspect there's probably either a cutworm or a gopher nearby. But other than that, things here are looking promising, although there's still a lot more that need to come out. So this is an irrigated field, but the pivot hasn't gone around yet. So now that we do have irrigation water, we should get this guy to go around once pretty quick here, and that'll help to minimize any staging problems from ungerminated seed. Well, here we got some durum seeded in a dryland field, and as you can see, it is not in the moisture. As the ground continues to get harder and harder here, it's getting more and more difficult to get down into moisture. The soil is just getting to be so hard, the drills are having a hard time getting down. In this field here, now I'm in the moisture there, and I'm probably a good 2 inches down. Probably moisture starting at about 1.75 inches, and the seed is about 1 inch in. So hopefully we get some rain showers here soon. Here's some canola that's just been seeded into some dryland. You can see seed sitting right on the surface there. The rest of it seems to be at a pretty decent depth, although it's not really in the moisture, but it's kind of hard to get down to the moisture right now without being at an unsafe seeding depth for canola. So there we go. We were about 3/4-ish to an inch at that depth. So looking pretty good there. We're not in the moisture, but I think we'd have to go down at least another 3/4 of an inch in this spot to have gotten to moisture. So good thing we didn't go that far. Well, right here in this field, here is a click beetle. So this is the adult form of the wireworm. And yeah, this time of the year, you kind of see these guys all over the place. They do overwinter as both adults and pupae. And this time of the year, they'll start going around mating and laying more eggs. Well, here in this field of first seeded peas, it's been in the ground for about a month. We finally have some germination. There's the couple of odd ones poking up here and there. So let's take a bit of a look here and see what we're looking at. There we go. So we now have hypocotyl emergence coming up from deep. This guy here was not up yet, but still pretty thin stand, but hopefully in the next couple days it'll look a lot better. Well, it's really nice to see some irrigation water finally flowing in this area. So lots of the winter wheat now this week is starting to get irrigated, which is great. It'll really make it come to life here in the next week or so, but it'll also really make a lot of those annual weeds emerge. Well, right here in this seed row in barley, I found this nice wireworm here. This looks like a destructor wireworm. And he was just starting to feed right here on the coleoptile on this barley, and this barley wasn't even quite emerged yet. You can see he was getting about 50% of the way to cutting that stem right off. So these guys are active, so watch out for him, even though this particular field is treated with cruiser. Looks like potentially he maybe just started feeding. Looks like he may have done some damage to this one as well. So he hasn't really he's not really showing the effects of the cruiser yet at this time. He's still pretty active. Here in this single shovel full of dirt, I've managed to find 2 wireworms. So this big guy right here, which is probably a destructor, he was up quite close to the surface, so he'd be shoot feeding. And then right down here is this darker colored guy, and that is probably a bicolor. So a little bit of a different type of wireworm, a little bit smaller. He's pretty lethargic. He may have already been feeding on the seed, which would cause him to get a little sleepy from the cruiser. But these wireworms are out there, so keep an eye out. This big chunky fellow is some type of ground beetle. I'm not sure exactly what type, but definitely a predator beetle of some type. So they are good to have around. They're a beneficial predator for things like wireworms. Here in this field, we do have finally some downy brome starting to make an emergence. It's been very slow getting going this spring, I found. I think just due to the dry conditions, cool soil temperatures up till now, but now you can really see it starting to get going. Easy enough to find the patch because you can see where it grew and went to seed during the fall. So there's lots of skeletons of dead plants in this area here. Well, the fall rye is looking beautiful this week, but we are a bit of a windy Wednesday morning here, and these flicks weeds and other annual weeds in this rye should get taken care of this week here. We'll get in here with some Enforcer M and take care of that. Well, it's very windy conditions out here now, and we are seeding some canola in this field, so just checking the seed depth here. Because this ground is so dry and so soft, it's been very difficult to establish exactly what depth we're at. See if I can find some seed. There we go, right there. So that guy was in about a ½ inch or so. And that feels like it's the bottom of the seed row, so depth here is okay. This is going in on irrigation, so at least we can irrigate it up. But you can see just how dry and powdery all this soil is here. Just absolutely no available moisture in that upper inch or so. Well, here's an interesting phenomenon. You can see nice clear rows here, and this is durum stubble from last year, and I was expecting this to be volunteer durum coming up right in the seed row for some reason, but it's actually all wild oats, and it must be because of moisture, something to do with moisture, whether that seed row kind of picked up a little bit more moisture in that little bit of straw or not. But yeah, it's kind of interesting seeing it just come up in nice neat rows like this for wild oats. Well, there's lots of canola seeding going on in this area today. There's pretty good surface moisture here. Like, it's just, you barely have to scratch the surface to find it in this field. And things are looking good. Placement doesn't have to be too terribly deep because of that moisture. So things are going in pretty well. Let's see if I can find a seed here quick. Oh, there we go. I dug him up, but he was right at about that level. So pretty much right in the moisture layer there, about 3/4 of an inch deep. So looking pretty good there. Well, down south here where there has been a little bit more moisture, we do have some canola starting to come up. So we got a few little canola cotyledons there. It's been 2 years since there was canola in this field, but it seems there's always some volunteer. And so far I haven't seen any sign of flea beetle damage on any of the volunteers at all. Well, it's Friday now, and it is another very windy day, about 90 winds in some spots and gusts today. So just about every pivot in the countryside is running today to try to keep our soil from blowing away again. There is some patches of severe erosion starting to show up. This is a zero-till field, but as you can see, it's a bit of a sandy area. You can see it's taking it right down to the seed row in some of these spots, which is not good. Now, hopefully if we get some rain, some of these seeds will still germinate and try to hold things together. Well, that wind is now gusting 80-90 and as you can see, we got a pile of salt and dust blowing through the air here by Nobleford, coming off the salt sloughs. So not great conditions. There's not a whole lot going on out in the fields today, but it's looking like hopefully tomorrow we got about a 70% chance of rain now, although who knows how much it'll end up being. But let's hope for the best, because this wind is evaporating off moisture every minute that goes by. I'm definitely wearing the right shirt to do a demonstration of interlock today, aren't I? A little on my shoulder. And that'll be it for this week. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.